All right, it's time for Yogi and the BeachMan. Hi, I'm Jim the Yogi.
And I'm Rick Beach the BeachMan.
We're two Michigan transplants now living in Southwest Florida.
In fact, we're cousins born in 1964, just a month apart.
I like to meditate.
And I like to play bass in a band.
I'm into chanting Om.
And I'm into throwing down some classic rock.
But together, we're on a mission
to promote people that are helping other people.
We want to make the world a better place.
One conversation at a time.
So sit back,
turn up the volume,
and get ready to laugh.
Because we like to have fun
while we spread the love.
Interviewing lovely people. Yes, we have fun.
Welcome back to Yogi and the BeachMan. Today we are with Janet Rotella. She's a certified holistic and blah, blah, blah.
Want me to cover this one here?
Sure.
Certified holistic integrative therapist.
You can do the intro.
I've never done the intro before.
Here we go.
Welcome back to this episode of Yogi and the BeachMan. Today we're with Janet Rotella. She's a certified holistic integrative therapist coming from the East Coast of Florida. So welcome to Yogi and the BeachMan, Janet.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm Rick Beach and the BeachMan, and
I'm Jim the Yogi.
Jim the Yogi.
So nice to meet you, and welcome to the show.
So nice to be here and meet you guys. I was wondering who was the Yogi and who was the Beachman.
The hippie, the long-haired hippie guys, the Yogi.
The Yogi. Yeah, exactly. So, Janet, you're in Jupiter, Florida. And what's the name of your business?
The name of my business is Calm and Brite, Brite, Holistic Wellness Event Services and Event Center.
Okay, and what do you do there?
So I personally, I offer personal sessions, and I'll get more into the modalities and the services that I personally offer. I have an office in there where I see and treat all of my clients, patients, whatever you want to call them, with personal one-on-one sessions under those modalities. But then I also have a 500 square foot, not big, not small, what I call clinical area, where we offer group sessions, classes, workshops, seminars, everything from sound bowl healing, meditation, Reiki. I have speakers come in. We're even doing like a fun game night, a comedy night called Traumedy Night, ceremonies, social gatherings.
Traumedy Night?
Traumedy, yes, because sometimes the best medicine for healing and trauma is comedy. So we bring comedians and we do Traumedy Night where we laugh about our traumedy.
Oh, that's fun and interesting. Yeah. So do people have to reveal their own trauma, their childhood traumas in that, or what?
No, not in a group setting. I do offer a trauma support group, and I think it frightens a lot of people because they're like, I don't want to go and reveal my trauma in front of a group, or I don't want to hear somebody else's. That's just gonna traumatize me more. Our support groups are a little bit different. We're not, roll out all your trauma on the floor and rehash it and scare yourself and scare everybody else around you. It's more of you're not alone, and there is help out there. And what is that help? What can we do? We, like I said, game nights. Game nights are fun. Laughing, comedy, traumedy. Not everybody is healed with a meditation, relaxation, and an Om. Sometimes you need to shout, scream, yell. Just know that you're not alone. So our support groups are more, the one-on-one is more for bringing out the details of what your trauma or your anxiety or your issue is. The groups are more for fellowship. Hey, you're not alone, and here's a hug, here's a laugh.
Sure.
Here's a fun game, something that we can do, because a lot of times people just need to know. It doesn't make it better, but it doesn't change or take away, whatever the anxiety or the trauma or the PTSD or whatever it is, but just to not be alone.
Yeah. So if I came to Traumedy Night, what would I be expecting?
Traumedy Night would just be, you'd come in and we'd probably have some light refreshments and say a hello and maybe introduce ourselves, not get into the traumedy. And then just, we would have different comedians that kind of, come out, and just like any other comedy show, but maybe they might focus a little bit on the funny side of traumedy. I mean, of trauma.
Okay.
There is always something fun. I remember when my mother was passing away, she was on life support, and to this day we laugh about this, and people think, how can you laugh? But it's just, I think sometimes you get like, nervous laughter too. And my
Mm-hmm.
poor dad was so upset, and he was Italian, and sometimes he was American, but sometimes his parents were Italian and grew up speaking Italian, and sometimes the words didn't come out right. And he was trying to tell us that there was no hope, and the doctors said, there would be no hope. There was no brain activity, and of course that's traumatizing. They said, and even if
Sure.
she lived, she would be nothing but a vegetarian. See? And I
Oh, we
was
wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, all right, we could do that. I shop at Sprouts and Whole Foods, we can even get vegetarian. We can even go full on vegan if that'll mean keeping mommy alive. See, and at that
That's funny.
moment, you never thought you would laugh, but
Yeah.
that was 28 years ago, and we're still laughing at this point too. It was like so heart-wrenching at the same time, but there
Right.
are funny things that happen. I remember one of his brothers too told somebody at another funeral that he was going to be the polar bear and carry the casket, instead of the pallbearer.
Yeah.
So
That's fun.
there is funny, and a lot of times that's what we do when we get past our grief, when we get past our trauma, we find the things to smile or laugh about it. And that's often when it's something like grief or loss, what the person would want us to do. They would want us
Yeah.
to laugh.
Absolutely.
Laughter, they say laughter is the best medicine. So you just be a nice comedy show, and I don't want to say at the expense of someone's trauma or issue, but there is, we can find some funny things in there. And
Yeah.
we push past the pain, there is smile and laughter again. And sometimes that's what helps us push past the pain, is
I love
laughter.
that. I mean, none of us here get out alive. We're all going to die.
No.
So, making it, bringing a little bit of light into it, I
Yeah,
think it's helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever done laughter yoga?
I have done laughter yoga. I don't know if it's been specifically called laughter yoga, but in a lot of the yoga practices that I've done, we've spent, time just laughing. Laughter is also a form of breath work, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of in my practice. It's, bringing that diaphragm up, and also bringing the muscles of your face, up
Yeah.
to this way. It's getting that diaphragm moving, and it's also somatic healing, getting things up and out. Like I said, there is nervous laughter. I have nervous laughter. I've been in very, this is not the proper situation to start laughing at this, and I'll, like a funeral or a end of life situation, and
Mm-hmm.
the I'll just look at something and I'm like, oh no, here it comes, and the giggle will come, and I can't stop, and the more people try to make me stop, the worse it gets. I'm
It
like,
gets.
so I have to do then the fake crying, like I'm really laughing, but I'm like,
The last time,
Oh, that I have to use that.
yeah,
Well, usually not appropriate for a guy to cry like that, but I have that same problem sometimes. I
yes,
laugh in inappropriate times.
yeah.
It's like,
And it's so funny because I do a lot of manifesting too, but at those times I will have to, and manifesting, I'm usually like, when I want to manifest something positive, I'm like, think positive. You are healed from head to toe. I envision myself in the white light, healed head to toe. And if I envision it and if I feel it healed, that's the positive manifesting. But when I'm in those inappropriate laughter moments, I have to go to the bad place. I'm like, oh, a sick puppy. I have to think of a sick puppy or a sick child. I'm like, I
yeah,
am actually bringing myself to a bad place.
right.
the last time that happened to me was not too long ago, and I was in a little bit of a spat with my girlfriend, and she, I mean, nothing out of line, but I found myself, getting that smile and really trying not knowing that if I start laughing while she's in this little
cut out.
You're
Yeah, that
trouble.
was not a good thing. Because I know if I get laughed at when I'm a little upset, oh man, that
Yeah.
spins me up.
Does it?
Yes, it's
Oh,
terrible.
yeah, then I'll say, I have to try to I have to just stop and calm myself down because that is one. I'm very mild mannered, and to get me ramped up is very difficult. But if I'm bitching about something or in a conversation and I get laughed at, not so much like if Jim did that, it wouldn't bother me if you did that, but someone close to me,
Yes.
that's when it really would spin me up. Not that we're not close, Jim and I, but I don't have that type of relationship with him. But but if she laughs at me and I'm bitching about something, oh, that spins me up. So I
Yes,
can
it
imagine,
does.
and I was thinking that as I'm trying to hold back, she's complaining about something, and I'm a typical guy, okay, here, this will be over, let her vent, and then I just started laughing, and yeah, I'm gonna
And
have.
we
I'm a
tend
real
to,
big dog lover, so I'm gonna have to use the sick puppy because
yeah,
that
we
would.
tend to do that. And we do that at other inappropriate times. You ever notice like when somebody falls too? I don't know what it is with falling. Like we all
It's
have that,
funny.
like we all have that freeze moment where we look and go, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you breathing? Are you this?" And then, especially more so if they're okay, when they get up, then that's when we're like, "You fell," and it's like, and I'm like, "Why am I laughing at them that they fell?" But
I
I
laugh
think,
first, which is not good.
Yeah, really.
yeah,
So when I think holistic stuff, I normally think organic eating, nutrition, exercise, that kind of stuff because you had mentioned earlier, you deal with a lot of anxiety, depression. Is incorporating those kind of things into that? Because I know if I get a little anxiety issue or start getting in a funk, I know I have to just get out of the house and
yeah,
walk, play pickleball, or do this or do it. Just get some endorphins running through me.
exactly.
And I counsel my niece just the other day. Her mom passed away a few months ago, and she's really having a hard time. And she said, "Oh, but she's in Detroit area. It's 37 degrees and raining sideways, And uh, I'm like, Lauren, you just got to get out of the house, get some exercise, get some sunshine." She goes, "That's easy for you to say. You're down there, but so it depends on, I guess, where you're at in the country, and you probably do some stuff online. But do you incorporate that exercise, nutrition aspect into your practice?"
Absolutely, absolutely. So everything is connected in my world: body, mind, and spirit. Um, as I said, I'm certified, licensed, and trained in a number of different modalities, from hypnosis to Reiki and energy work to sound healing, somatic healing, EFT tapping, EMDR, so many different things. And my the world's go to, seems to be they want the quick fix. They want the pill that will fix this. They want the shot that will have them lose the weight overnight. They want everything the quick fix. Now, this is after years and years and years of whatever, maybe abuse, eating wrong, wrong practices, death and loss. That's not always, you're not looking or asking for that. That's a tragedy that happens. And a lot of tragedies happen to people quickly, but no one wants to feel like crap physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. But the body has a way to work with all the other parts to heal you naturally. And by holistically, my tagline in my business is, or when people ask me what I do, I help heal you without the use of pharmaceuticals or substances. And when I say to
We love
people,
that, Janet.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
so
and
against the pharmaceutical
yeah,
companies. You have no idea.
because that's what they want. And they're like little puppets. When people go, and I'm not knocking allopathic medicine, it's necessary in some cases, and it's helped in a lot of some cases, but people will follow that religiously, but they won't follow holistic practitioners. It's like robots. Like it used, even my dad, when he was alive, he would go to the doctor would write the prescription, and he wouldn't even come home. He'd go straight to Walgreens. And now you don't even need to go to Walgreens and put the prescription in. The doctor will, call it in or type it in while you're still sitting there in the exam room, and they'll go and pick it up. Whereas like holistic, I'll say to people, did you do this? Did you do that? Like you said, have you gone out for a walk? Have you grounded yourself? And they're like, no. And I always feel that homeopathic, holistic takes longer. It does. It doesn't give you the quick fix as the Xanax or the Valium or whatever, but it also lasts longer because you're getting to the root of what it is. Instead of like, I need a Xanax for anxiety, let's find out what's causing that anxiety. Why do you have this anxiety? Because otherwise you're just going to go on this hamster wheel and you're going to spin, spin, spin. And when that Xanax wears off and the bills are still here, or the loss is still here, and the grief is still here, or the diagnosis is still here, or the traumatic event, the memory of that traumatic event is still here, it's just going to give you all those feelings again. So what do you do again? You take another pill, and until that wears off, or wears out your kidneys or your liver or causes more trouble. So like, let's get to the root of it and let's heal what we can. I have healed so many things holistically. I broke my foot 2 years ago and never saw a doctor at all. Again, I don't know where this podcast is going. I am not a doctor. I do not tell people not to go to the doctor. For me, my choice was to work with minerals, supplements, vibrational tuning forks specifically for orthopedics, mind, body, spirit. It also happened 2 months after I went through a major traumatic event, a major loss. I had lost my special needs sister from terminal cancer, who I was her only caretaker, and a breakup at the same time. And I took it as, okay, God and universe, you want me to sit down and pay attention to this, because that was my foot, and that's root chakra, which is where all of our grounding, our safety, our security, our family, our future lies. And I said, okay, I wasn't paying attention, so now I'm going to sit here and heal. And I sat and I holistically healed my foot without any medical treatment. And it's funny because people will say to me and ask me what I do. They'll say, and I'll tell them, I go, oh, that new age stuff. And I go, there's nothing new age. It's thousands of years old. Back in biblical days, I said, Jesus and the disciples didn't walk down the road and go to a Walgreens or a CVS. They wrapped something, they made a tourniquet and wrapped something in it. They picked a berry off a bush. They burned a salve and they healed.
What you're dealing with is 50, 60 years of propaganda.
Yeah.
And when we talk about this all the time, when 70% of TV advertising is big pharma. I mean, it's hard to unwind that inset mindset in some, but once you do flick that switch, then at least with me, I went from that same person on the statins for cholesterol and metoprolol for high blood pressure, and you need to take a diuretic because you're too much water. And then when COVID hit, I started really taking a deep dive on all this stuff and say, wait a minute, these statins don't do what they say they're going to do. It's okay to have a little higher cholesterol. Actually, it could be beneficial. Now, I'm not a doctor either, and I'm not always talk to your medical professional if you trust them. But we're both in the same court, but it's time to. It's hard to break through, especially someone older. When they've just had that pounded in their head for basically entire lives. Hey, if you get the sniffles, go to the doc. And when really most people are vitamin D deficient, vitamin C deficient, zinc, those type of supplements, you can, and some prayer, you can, I believe you can heal yourself or heal someone else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you say the 50, 60 years of propaganda and you bring up watching TV and what the pharmaceuticals or what any of the ads on TV say, or what people say, go to your doctor, go to this, because one of the biggest things I have with hypnosis is, does that really work? Hypnosis is one of my main modalities. And all hypnosis is reprogramming the brain, as you said. And people say, does that really work? It doesn't work. And I can't be hypnotized. That's the biggest one I hear. I can't be hypnotized. I'm like, not only can you be hypnotized, you are hypnotized every single day. Right. I said, you sit there and you watch TV at night And on TV comes the ad for Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's, or all these things, or an ooey gooey chocolate cake. And I said, and maybe you don't eat that stuff, but what do you do at the next commercial break? You find yourself up in the kitchen looking for something salty or something sweet or a snack. I said, they just programmed into your brain that you needed a snack or a sweet or something. When you go into a movie theater and you smell popcorn, what's the first thing you want? You want the popcorn. You walk into a waiting room anywhere, and here's everybody on the phone. I said, and just what you said, pharmaceuticals. Oh, you need this for your high cholesterol. This will bring the numbers down. And what do? You make a mental note of that and go see your doctor, or go get on that statin. And again, I'm not saying not to get on that statin. I chose not to go on statins. I had high cholesterol too, and I did research on what cholesterol actually should be, what actually is, what actually it does to you. And I'm like, well, there's other ways to get rid of that and bring that down and to live with that. That's again what I did. But changing your mindset or changing a way of doing it. When I work with people who want to quit smoking, all that is with hypnosis is we go back to the very first day they've ever smoked. And if you ask every smoker, every regular smoker about their first cigarette, they can tell you who, where, when, how much it cost. And people say no. And I go, you're not a smoker. I go, ask a smoker. And a smoker will tell you, oh, I was 12 years old. I was in the schoolyard. I was with Tommy Brown. It was cold. I had I was cold. He gave me his jacket. In his jacket was a pack of Marlboros. I lit up the Marlboro. They'll tell you detail for detail. So what we do is we go back to those details, and instead of grabbing for the pack of Marlboros, grab for a pack of water. You make a different choice. So you can absolutely be hypnotized and absolutely be healed from anything holistically and homeopathically.
I love that you brought that up. My neighbor lives across the street. His name's Adam. He listens to this show religiously. And he's been a smoker for his whole life. He's in his mid-30s now. And he just recently quit like a month ago, but he still gets that urge. He fights it out. He's just like having this demon battle with these cigarettes, but he's winning. But he's like, man,
Good.
I need to get hypnotized. There's
Yeah.
got to be a better way here. So maybe he'll be calling you up.
Good for him. Congratulations to you if you're listening. That's the first step. The first step is taking the action to do something, to change whatever it is, whether it be through hypnosis or whether it be through Reiki or whether it be through sound healing or walking or, doing artwork or gardening. It's the first step in admitting that you have the problem and wanting to do something about it. Sometimes I call it meeting people in the parking lot. All they can do is get to the parking lot of my center. They can't even come inside. All they can do is call and make the appointment. And my family's like, people actually really pay you to just go sit in a parking lot with them for an hour. You just sit there. And I said, see, you see it as sitting in a parking lot. I see it as they just made a major first step in deciding to change their life. And if that's all they can handle for the first time, for the first hour, because nobody's going to be healed until they want to. I have a friend who keeps asking me when I'm going to hypnotize her 42-year-old son for smoking. And when are you going to hypnotize him? When are you going to hypnotize him? I said, I'm going to hypnotize him when he calls me and asks me. Yeah. Not when you call me and ask me, because you as his mother, I know you love him and you can ask all you want. He's not going to do it. His mind isn't going to say, I'm ready to do this. And until he calls and does it. So kudos to your friend. If you're listening, be proud of yourself. You took the first step. Keep going. It's only going to get
better. That's right.
Hey, you mentioned a little bit ago when you broke your foot and how you healed it yourself. You mentioned you said a white light moment.
A white light. I have white light moments all the time. I call myself my business prior to opening my center was even called White Lights. It was a moment of when I broke the foot. It's almost like a spiritual awakening and a knock on the door, a knock on the head, even like, hey, wake up, like pay attention to this. And there's a higher power, a higher energy than me trying to speak to me. We are all just energy. And there's bodies carrying us around in these energies. I always tell people the next time I come around, I'm a short little Italian Greek girl. I was like, I want to come back as the Victoria's Secret model the next time, but I'll take I'll take the model that I have now. That's why I tell people when people pass and cross over that their soul is still around and still connected to you. Just their body died for one. Their body can no longer exist on the face of the earth for one of 5 reasons: injury, illness, accident, murder, or suicide. But their soul is still very much connected to, your love for them. So there's something higher than us that speaks to us. There's a sense other than the 5 earthly senses that we know, and some, of sight, sound, hearing, all that like kind of knock on us and say, hey, white light here, pay attention to this. I went through a very trying time. My sister was sick for 9 months. A year prior to that, I was going through a major breakup, and it was very grueling. The breakup was grueling. My sister was special needs. She was 54 years old and had the mind of a 5-year-old. So I was at the hospital 24/7 with her. She had one of the worst cancers imaginable. She died in March, and that July, I went to a very good friend's house up in New Jersey on the beach. And the first day I was there, I sliced my hand open. And I wasn't going to go to an urgent care. And my nieces, my friends' daughters were like, no, Auntie, you need to go. It's a deep wound. I'm like, no, it'll be fine. And they were like, no. I look at the pictures now, and I'm like, that was a deep wound. I need to go. And I went, and because we were on this barrier island, they wanted to give me antibiotics, which I was against. And I said, but it was 4th of July and all these people were converging, and children and sand. I said, all right, I don't need an infection. Let me take the antibiotics. From the antibiotics, I got further sick because I don't take antibiotics. So with the further sick, coughing and this and that, I made a hot toddy. And the hot toddy, I sat out in the sun. And my friend said, oh, it's hot out here. I don't know if you should be drinking a hot toddy. And I came in from the deck and I went right down. I didn't fall on my butt. If I would have, there would have been enough padding there to help me up. But I landed on the foot like a bad gymnast, and I heard it crack. But at that moment, it was so spiritual too, because there was the physical crack, but there was the crack like I heard, like of literally like a white light busting, that I heard, okay, you didn't listen, and sit still. We tried to get you with the hand, and you didn't listen. We tried to get you with the antibiotic, and you didn't listen. So now we're taking your feet out. So you literally have to sit and listen and heal from the losses that I had. So I did. I sat, I came home from that beach house, and I sat. I'm actually in my living room right now, and I sat. I can turn you. See that sofa right there. And it was rainy season here in South Florida, and I sat there doing my healing, because I knew that the foot is in the root chakra area, and I work a lot with chakras, and root chakras are grounding, safety, security. And that had been, when people say, I feel like I've had the rug pulled out from underneath me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you literally have. I mean, I had a client, and this is years before I broke my own foot. I had a client who came to me. It's one of my most popular stories that I always tell. I had a client that came to me. She was recommended to come to me because all she was doing was falling. And she went to every medical doctor under the sun: ENT, spine doctor, neurologist, chiropractor, a podiatrist, everything. They looked at everything, and everything was coming back negative, which was good in one way, but it's like, why am I falling? And she came to me, and I said, what's going on? Somebody told her to come to me. She knew nothing about what I did and all the different modalities that I use. And I said, what's going on? She goes, I'm falling. I said, I know you're falling. I said, but what's going on with you? And when I ask people this, I ask people their diet. I don't just mean what they're eating. I mean what they're putting into their body, who they're listening to, what music, what TV, the people they're surrounding themselves, diet, everything that is coming into or affecting their body, mind, and spirit. And she said to me, I said, tell me about yourself. Are you married? Do you have children? And she said, well, my youngest child, my daughter, has just left the house. We are officially empty nesters. Because of that, my husband and I are going through that divorce that should have happened years ago, but we stayed together until the children were done with school. So he's moving out, and my mother just died 4 months ago. I said, oh my gosh, stop right there. Stop right there. Picture a table with 4 legs. You are one of the legs. And in energy, we talk about above you, below you, to the side. Above you is parents, grandparents, children, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, elders. To the side is siblings, friends, coworkers, your partner, equal. Below you is children, grandchildren, fur babies, nieces, nephews, younger. You have a table with 4 legs, and usually in my center, I have a little stool that demonstrates this, but just a table with 4 legs. Take out 3 of those legs. Remove them. Take them away. What's going to happen? It's going to fall. I said, that's root chakra area. So we worked on her root chakra for several months. She never fell again.
Excellent.
It's amazing how energy is connected to the physical things that happen in our bodies.
Yeah, it seems like more and more people are waking up to everything is energy and starting to give it more credit, because it's been so foo-foo kind of stuff for so long.
Yeah, sprinkle our fairy dust. That's what people say.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Thank you.
It's funny. I broke my hand mountain biking, and I'm like you. I don't want to go to the doctor or anything, but I broke this hand mountain biking. I hit a tree, and I immediately knew to squeeze it for some reason, like intuitively. And I squeezed it, and I actually felt the bone go back together, like I reset the bone. And
did that hurt? When
of course.
It popped back in?
The whole thing hurt.
Yes, everything hurt. That's what people ask me about the foot. They're like, didn't it hurt? I'm like, of course it hurt.
Yeah, I broke the bone. It hurt. Yeah. So I literally reset it myself. I felt the bone go back together. And at the time I owned a yoga studio. I was teaching a lot of yoga classes. I had a yoga retreat coming up that weekend. I went and taught the retreat. I taught another week of classes, and one of my really good friends who's passed now, she's like, you got to get that looked at. You're going to lose the use of your hand, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, for you, I'll go get it looked at. So I go into the doctor, and I'm like, hey, he's like, what can I do for you? I said, well, I spiral cracked this bone right here. I said, I reset it. I said, it's fine, but my friend's all worried that I'm going to lose the use of my hand. He goes, he's like, yeah, right. So he does the x-ray, comes back, he goes, you're right. You spiral cracked that bone all the way down. So he put it in a cast. I wore the cast for a week. I said, I don't need this. Took the cast off, and it's like, I was done with it, Yeah. I mean, the bone will heal, right?
Yeah.
That's what it does.
So do you,
the cast
when
is
you
just
feel that, can you still feel like the bump where it broke or anything?
No, not at all. I mean, because it was, spiral, like the fracture was went a spiral all the way down, and the bone actually separated. And I squeezed it together.
I always thought that like when that bone stuff healed, it would have calcium deposits on it.
I don't feel anything. I can still use my hand.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I'm the same way.
Love that story.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever go to a doctor again, except for an injury or my annual physical, just to see what vitamin deficiencies I have. And you have to ask for those.
Yeah, you do. You do. That's so amazing. I go for blood work every 6 months. I get my scans because as I said, in my center, I don't have, an MRI machine or a mammogram. Although we do have someone that comes in. We just did an event 2 weeks ago of thermography. I don't know if you gentlemen are familiar with thermography, but it's a lot of people are using it. It doesn't use radiation. And ultrasound, it uses heat to show spots in the body where there's inflammation, where there might be, unfortunately,
like infrared.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it so a lot of people are opting with that because of it doesn't have the radiation. But I always tell people, we don't have scans, and we don't take blood work in here. And even when I go for blood work, every time I go to regular Quest lab, and the phlebotomist always asks, so what is it that you do? What do you do? And I tell them they don't understand. And I said, basically, if or what any of this blood work finds, I'm not going to do whatever the doctors tell me. And again, I'm not advising anybody to not do what the doctors tell me. I just use alternative methods. And sometimes I do what the doctors tell me along with my alternative methods. One of my specialty areas too is now I work a very dedicated part of my practice is with the autistic and special needs. And I'm even speaking at hypnosis conference in July in front of 7,000 people about how you can hypnotize and do energy and therapy work on the autistic and special needs, because I did it on my sister for years and years and years, for when she was when she went through her terminal cancer treatment. Initially they were like, she'll never be able to have radiation, she'll never sit still, she'll never calm down. I'm like, oh, you don't know whose sister she is. And I would get in there and they would want to shoot her up with this or want to shoot her up with that, and I'd be like, just let me be with her for a few minutes. And she was so used to this, and we would work on quieting her mind, quieting her spirit. And I would, at that hospital every night, they would do their thing, and I never stopped them from doing their medical thing. But I'm like, can I have her now? Can I do now? And they would close the door, and the nurses would say, the sister's in there sprinkling her again, the fairy dust. The sister's sprinkling the fairy dust again. But then, and I try to be quiet and subtle about it and think, well, they won't know if I did this. And I'd walk out and they're like, what oils did you use tonight? We smell them. Can we have some? And I think that there's room to work together. They're doing Reiki in chemotherapy centers now, and neonatal intensive care units. Now they're doing sound bowl healing. I mean, it's not going to hurt. It works together. And I tell people, lithotripsy, which is breaking down kidney stones, all that is high frequency sounds. That's how I knew I could heal my foot with a tuning fork. Took a little bit longer, but I sat there with a high frequency tuning fork and healed and mended the bone back together with a tuning fork.
What's the science? Do you know the science behind that?
The science behind it is the energy.
I'm aware of lithotripsy.
Yeah,
we'll break up that works.
Particles. It will move the energy and break up the particles. Like when we break them up or move them back so they fuse back together. When we did the thermography event 2 weeks ago, we did before and after scans of energy work. So the patient client would come in, have a full body thermography scan. They would actually have to strip down, and the technician scanned them from head to toe, and it showed stagnant areas in their body or area where there might be inflammation, so on and so forth. And I'll use one woman in particular, her breast area, because that's one of the most common areas to have thermographically scanned instead of a mammography. And she had, again, we're not doctors, but it looked like, to me, looked like it could be fibrocystic breasts, which I actually, and a lot of women my age actually have. As we get older, you get deposits, there's not much, we don't move as much. We took her outside. I did almost an hour's work of energy work in her, went back and scanned her again. And the entire torso area, entire chest area was all red and yellow, and there was movement in there again, which when she first looked at it, she panicked, because you see this red. People always think red and panic. And, oh my God, you made it worse. And we said, no, we moved it. You can see, we showed the before and after where there were deposits that were stagnant, which moved it, which I know from myself, when I went into meditation and I would move things around in my body, it healed it naturally. On its own, it broke it up.
What do you mean you moved it around? I don't.
We moved the energy around. We got blood flow going again. We moved the energy around, and oftentimes with Reiki or energy work, you'll see people who will sneeze a lot, cough a lot. They'll wind up in the bathroom for a good portion of the evening because we're moving. Things get stagnant in there. They get stagnant inside your body. You adjusting your hand again, that was probably the best thing you could have done. Then leave it and wait to go to a doctor. Moving it, back in, getting that blood flow moving. The reason you never use your hand again is because sometimes, when you become still, it stays still. You gotta move things around. So
I agree. And when you put a cast on something and
mhm.
immobilize it, well, then you're
Yeah.
not using it. You're not getting the blood flow.
No.
It's the body's not getting as much as it needs to heal.
And what do they
Yeah.
call that when you get muscle breakdown? I forget what that's called.
Atrophy.
Atrophy, yeah.
Yeah.
Atrophy.
Yeah. And you get atrophy because you're not using it. So I kept doing my down dogs and everything else and just it healed. Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
it ironic or kind of funny though that we still have to say, see your doctor though. Still go to
See
your
your
doctor. We got to
Yeah.
cover our
I'm not
asses.
a doctor. I can't diagnose
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All
Yeah.
the CYA we have to do.
I think we'll
Mhm.
just put the whole disclaimer at the beginning of this one.
I think we need to put it on our entire show.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
You need to put it
Don't
on.
listen to us.
Because we constantly diss the medical community and the pharma companies.
Yeah. And I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. And
Oh, good for you.
I still diss it. Yeah. But I actually, I'm working with feet now, which is interesting when I heard about the tuning fork.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what, on that note,
Yeah.
because Jim's stepbrother, right, is the doctor that you work for?
Yeah. My brother.
His stepbrother, he works for his brother who's a
Oh, his
podiatrist.
half brother
Half brother who's a
Yeah.
podiatrist. And
out near you in West Palm.
so what would happen with if you like took an extra 10 minutes at everything and gave him the tuning fork treatment?
What would happen?
I mean, would you get any backlash from
him?
I'm just curious.
Oh, I don't think he'd care. He'd maybe be like, why are you spending so much time with this
Are you
patient?
Are you billing appropriately?
Right, we can't bill.
We
for the
can't bill
tuning fork.
insurance, so now get the hell out of there.
I try to work with doctors and nurse
Yeah.
practitioners and people in the medical field all the time. I'm not against them. I don't know if they're against me. I want to work together. I think we can do this all together. I just had a client who was actually a friend who broke her ankle December 30th, and she was a nurse, and she was out of work all of January, February. She went back to work in March, and she would see her regular orthopedic doctor. In the beginning, it was like once a week or once every other week, and then it was once a month. But she would come to me every 2 or 3 days and have me work on it with the tuning fork, with the red light therapy, with even meditation. We would just do meditation on sending healing to the foot, and envision yourself whole and healed, and whatever it took. Like I said, I work with a number of different modalities, the tuning fork, the sound bowl around it and everything, and it healed. People could say, well, that was the orthopedist that did it. Some people will say that was Janet who did it, or energy medicine that did it. I like to say it's both. It's everything. I also think it's time heals you too.
Yeah. And my experience with different doctors, when people do things like that, they're always surprised that things heal faster and often better by working with different modalities.
Exactly. And it's certainly not going to hurt you or make you feel better. Like sometimes I would ask her, I'm like, does your foot feel better? And sometimes she would say, yeah, my foot feels a lot better. The inflammation is better. Sometimes she would say, I don't notice a difference in the foot at all, but I feel better. I feel calmer. I feel less anxious. I feel more hopeful. I feel more relaxed. And
Which is so important because if you're stressed out all the time, your body's getting flooded with cortisone.
Yeah.
And if you're flooded with cortisone, you're not healing.
No.
Your body's not doing what it's supposed to do. So it's so important to be relaxed and calm.
Well, and as a Christian, I get a lot of that relief just from prayer. If I'm stressed out,
I agree.
I mean, if I'm really stressed out, I can really I can be by myself driving. I can be sitting in my lazy boy. It doesn't matter. And if I just talk to God for 5 or 10 minutes, it's a big relief. But then I always, it feels like I can make that go away, or he helps me make it go away, or he takes it away. It's kind of how I like to feel about it.
I agree. I'm a devout Christian myself too, and that's another thing. Sometimes it's all I do in my center is I'll see what people need. Sometimes they need a tuning fork. Sometimes they just need you to sit there and go into prayer with them. And I remind myself about how I care for, those that I love. My little dog. I don't have children of my own, but my little dog, I would never let him hurt. If I see him limping, if I see something hurts, I run and I grab something that's going to relieve the pain and help him feel better. So I sit there and I think when I'm in pain, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, I go, well, I'm his daughter. and he's going to come. And whatever it is, if it's a Pepto-Bismol or if it's a tuning fork, he's going to make my tummy feel better, or he's going to make my heart feel better, because you're exactly right. You just ask. And prayer is another, it's just like meditation. Prayer and meditation, I think, go hand in hand. It relaxes us. And like you said, just bringing that cortisol level down. One of the things they used to do in the hospital with my sister, again, she had the mind of a 4-year-old, is, and I've talked to so many people in the medical field, is they announce what they're going to do. And I'm like, do they teach you this in medical school? This is just going to hurt a little bit. This is just going to pinch a little bit. You're just going to feel a little bit of, I said, do you think that comforts people? I said, because it doesn't. And then we're going to go back to hypnosis here. I said, that puts a preconceived feeling into somebody, because my sister would see them coming in to draw blood, and she hated needles and hated bloods, and the blood curdling screaming would start. And we're just going to do this. And I would say, don't announce it. Don't announce it. Just do it. I'll distract her. We'll talk. And she loved her dog. My dog is right here. Can you say hello? This was her little service dog. And I said, say hi. Say hi, buddy. Little pink daddy. And she loved him dearly. And I'd say, I'm going to stand on this side of the bed, and we're just going to get into a conversation about little big daddy and what toy he's going to play with, distracting her, redirecting her. I said, you just stick that needle in where you need to do it. I said, don't announce it, because announcing it, yes, it can be good, and maybe they think they're comforting people, but they're also putting that preconceived note. Because I know I've had certain tests or certain procedures done where it's going to be this, and I'm like, that was it. That was no big deal. You made it worse than it actually made it out to be worse than it actually is. Yeah. So if and when the pain, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, comes, like you said, I will just ask God to take it away, or just calm myself down, because that can also, when we tighten ourselves up and we tense ourselves up and we keep the tight muscles, that can sometimes be worse on the blood that needs to be drawn, or the test that needs to be done. And they'll tell you, oh, just relax. Well, too late. You should tell me that 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I would say, don't worry, this isn't going to hurt me at all.
You guys both,
and then it's done.
You guys both brought up cortisol. What is that?
Your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys, and the adrenal glands produce cortisol. It's a stress-inducing. Like when you're stressed out, it induces that as part of kicking into fight or flight.
So it's a hormone?
It's your adrenaline. It's like your adrenaline. Like, when they say you're running on adrenaline, and they say they gave you a shot and you didn't even feel it because you were running on adrenaline. So like he said, it kicks your fight or flight mode. But you can go into cortisol overload when you've had.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, and I was in it. I'd say I'm still a little bit in it after the traumas that I had. And then that's when you start having gut issues, stress issues. That's when the physical things start manifesting. You get the stress, the cortisol belly, the big belly. And I always say that with like menopause women, middle-aged women, I'm like, oh, hormones, schmormones, I was like, middle-aged women or middle-aged people in general, I said, we have a lot that, when you're kids, things are fun. When you're older, you're like, I've been there, done that. But middle age, where we are, this is when, your kids start going off and leaving, and they either go the good route or they go the bad route and become troublesome. And a lot of marriages break up, and parents start dying off, and stresses of this and stresses of that. And life gets really tough. It's not, it's not like the 20-year-olds, like, what should I wear to the bar this weekend? It's like, oh no, I have mortgages and things, and the kids need this and the kids need that. So it's not necessarily hormones. It's that there's a lot of stress at this time in our lives, which causes that cortisol and the adrenals to overfire. And then like I was saying before, it's one thing leads to another. Your adrenals are overfiring. So now you've got an ulcer, and you've got an ulcer, and you're taking this medication for the ulcer, which is wrecking your kidneys, and your kidneys are, it's like this.
Don't worry, we got a pill for those kidneys too.
Yeah, it's a hamster wheel. So, and I always tell people, and you guys can relate to this in Florida, and somebody just said it to me yesterday too. I'll come to you. I'm going to come and see you when things calm down. I'm like, no, you need to come see me to calm things down. And I tell people in Florida, we don't put our hurricane shutters up after the hurricane.
Good point.
We put them up before to prevent the damage that storm is going to do. You know, even during the holidays, so many people were like, I'm going to come to you after the holidays. I'm going to come. I'll do this. I'll take care of myself after the holidays. I'm like, was your mother-in-law coming? Are your children coming home for Christmas? Yeah. I think you need to come before. Prepare before. And people don't get that. Like, that's where they want the magic pill to come in. They're like, I'm so stressed out. I ate terrible. I gained 20 pounds over the holidays, and my husband's family was here, and my stepdaughter was here, and we fought the whole time. And now I have an ulcer and I'm 20 pounds extra. What kind of pill do you have for me?
Yeah.
No, come before. Prevent. Prevention is key.
Agreed. I wish healthcare did more prevention.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of stress. I mean, if you're in equanimity, like say here, you can be slightly stressed. You can be very stressed, right? We did an episode on breathing, because if you breathe incorrectly, you keep yourself in a slight level of stress all the time. So the adrenals are always firing, cortisol is always flooding your bloodstream, and you can stay in a stressed out mode for most of your life. Maybe you relax when you're sleeping because your breath changes and goes to something more natural. But just breathing improperly puts you into fight or flight. Doesn't have to be a huge, like I'm running from a bear, but you can be just past equanimity where it's keeping you there. And a lot of people don't know how to breathe right.
No,
Amazing.
they don't. They don't. And they don't understand that. When you say to somebody, come in for breath work, they're like, what do you mean breath work? I breathe every day.
Right?
I'm breathing. But you're not breathing right.
No, as soon as Jim started saying that, I started being conscious and just doing diaphragm breathing, which I didn't know about till we did that episode. And that was probably, I don't know, maybe 7-8 months ago.
No, it wasn't that long.
I bet it was. It's probably in the fall. But and I had told him at the time, I mean, I kind of lived in a constant state of stress.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it. You know, I had this feeling in my stomach and blah, blah, blah. But that was really before I started going to church, which was in about October when I finally did that. And, but using those two things in conjunction with each other, it just poof, it's gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Praise God.
But I still get it. But now I know how to deal with it too.
Exactly. You're always going to get it.
Right.
You know, people, I do this thing called the chakra test, where I test people's chakra test, and then balance them in my center. And my center is at a very busy intersection, just east of this, one of the busiest intersections in town. And people will go, and then they'll come back a week later, and they'll say, or they'll call me, and I'll call them, and they're like, "Oh, you just tested my chakras last week. Do you think they're okay?" And I'm like, I think they were blown right out of the water the minute you left and went through that intersection, you know, like things happen daily. You know, when people ask me how often they need to come for my services, and I'm not a salesperson at all, and it's the part of my job that I hate the most is trying to follow up and get people to come again. And I feel like, oh, they think I'm just chasing them for their money. I'm really, truly not. What I tell people, like I said, is, again, the prevention. We don't put our hurricane shutters up after the storm, but also, how often do you take out your garbage? You know, we don't have garbage day once a year. In my neighborhood, we have it twice a week. We have one day a week where we take the recycling out. Then we have bulk garbage day. Then we have the big day where they come with the shredder, once a quarter, or where they'll come and take the bulk with the, garbage. we always, and we get more garbage. Today is garbage day. And as soon as I took the garbage out, when I came back, I realized there was an Amazon package at my front door that I hadn't seen the night before. So I picked it up, opened it up, and I went, now I have garbage. I just took the envelope. Now I have garbage. I'm like, should I bring it back out to the street garbage? I was like, oh, eventually you're going to have garbage in the kitchen garbage anyway. So it's like washing your clothes. Unless you walk around naked all the time, you're always going to have dirty clothes. It's always going to be one set of clothes, at least, that is dirty. You can do all the laundry in your house, but you still have the clothes that you're wearing, unless you do laundry naked, which maybe some people do, but eventually you're going to put clothes on, so there's always garbage. There's always laundry. And which is funny because that leads me into the blocking and shielding. Blocking and shielding is something I teach my clients to do too. Block and shield yourself from the garbage and the laundry. And people ask, what is blocking and shielding? And I'm like, well, every job in the world, from Amazon drivers to pilots to even office workers, have some kind of safety mechanism. You gentlemen today, we didn't come out and naked. We put clothes on, we put shoes on, we get in our car, we wear a seatbelt, Amazon drivers maybe wear back braces. It's not to stop them from doing their job, it's to do their job safely. Because there's always going to be a threat. There's always going to be a threat of laundry, garbage, emotional pain, physical pain. So just like you put your clothes on in the morning or brush your teeth in the morning to keep your teeth healthy, you have to spiritually and emotionally and energetically put your block and shield on as well to keep that garbage out.
Good advice. It makes total
Otherwise
sense.
it'll build up and stink.
Yeah. I was just wondering if we'd get a lot more hits on YouTube if we did announce that it was going to be a nude podcast.
Probably.
Or the opposite. They'd be like, we
I was going to say, Eric, it depends. It depends who's naked.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would tune in for you and I, JP.
Probably not.
That'd be funny though.
It would.
Have a little gray, the pixelated. Never mind.
Oh, where they blur it out? Yeah.
Just kidding. No.
Little stars.
I'm just gonna keep rolling with this idea. No. We should stop.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask something unrelated. Go ahead.
Oh, so your main thing is the hypnotherapy. What's your second favorite thing to do?
I would say hypnotherapy, Reiki. There's a modality that I've named Hypnoki, where I combine the two, where I bring everybody, I call it holistic anesthesia.
Sounds like an Italian dish.
It does, right? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It was either going to be Hypnoki or Rhinosis, and Rhinosis sounded like a disease.
Yeah.
So it's I call hypnosis holistic anesthesia because I bring people into a deep, relaxed, meditative state, theta brain state, where they're able to hear me, they're able to answer commands, but they're just kind of off on another field, kind of like in that twilight. And then once they're there, I call install or induce some Reiki into the areas that need healing. And then I bring them, and I might use some tuning forks, I might use some essential oils, I might do the sound bowls. I might use the red light therapy wherever needs healing. And then I bring them back up and out, with hypnosis again. So hypnosis, Reiki, sound healing is a big one. Somatic healing is the theory of trauma, when not dealt with, gets trapped in the body and comes out in the form of dis-ease or discomfort. And that's when we start getting, our diabetes, our tumors, our high blood pressure, our high cholesterol. So our thyroid issues. So that is movement. That is screaming, shouting, dancing, laughing, as we spoke about earlier. And not screaming angrily, but, getting it out. So many people are like, shh, don't talk about it. Shh, don't talk about it. You don't talk about it. It's like a pressure cooker. It's eventually going to bust. It's got nowhere to go. Look, this traumatic event happened to you. This person hurt you or upset you, it pissed you off, it's stuck in here, it's got to come out. But this is in a controlled, safe environment. It's not going out and going postal out in public. In my office, in my center, we may dance, we may shout, we may scream. We have big pillows, huge pillows, and frying pans. And as silly as it sounds, we'll take the frying pan and we'll, go ahead, talk about that ex, say their name, say what they did to you, and curse them out, swear them out. And again, even being a Christian, I'll say, go ahead, if you need to cuss, he'll forgive you. And then that too, we'll wind it back up. We'll bring it back to a calm place with prayer. Now we'll ask God, heal me, universe, heal me, send me the calm, send me the peace, because it's like that tumor that needs to be cut out, but it also needs to be closed up too. You don't go into an operating room, have the tumor cut out, and then leave yourself open. You've got to be sewn back up again. So somatic healing, I do EFT tapping, integrative eye movement therapy, meditation, prayer. But I would say hypnosis, some sound, somatic healing, intuitive energy work is readings. That's my biggest probably seller. I don't know if seller is the word, or the things that I practice the most and I love the most and I feel the most passionate about.
Yeah, that's fabulous. It's interesting. We've been podcasting with quite a few hypnotherapists and healers and people that practice Reiki and whatnot, but everybody's got their own little twist on it. I love that. Everybody's doing it a little bit differently, bringing in their own personality, I guess, into it. So it's really cool. Yeah. What were you going to say earlier?
No, I was just going to say, when there's a space launch over there, how close are you can you see it pretty good?
I'm not super close. I am about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Kennedy Space Center. So I don't see it directly. I don't feel any of the boom or the vibration. But if it's a clear night and you look like towards the beach, you can see it tiny, tiny, tiny. You can see it go up. You can see it go up.
Yeah, because we can see them over here, but we're probably twice the distance you are.
Yeah.
So I was just curious on that.
I have friends that live up in Melbourne. That's about an hour and 45 minutes from here, and they see it very clear.
Oh, yeah. Well, Space Center's right there.
Yeah.
I was going to invite myself to crash your studio and watch a space launch, but that's
you still could. We have a beautiful rooftop. We have a beautiful rooftop with a deck up there, and it's great for 4th of July fireworks. And like I said, we can see them, but they're just not as close as you would think.
Right.
We do see them.
Yeah, that's very neat. Well, hey, thank you
You're
so much
anytime
for coming on the show, joining us. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
If you're ever on this side of the state, get in touch with one of us and we'll do some energy work.
I would love to do that. And I also offer things virtually too. So I have my center, which is here in Jupiter, Florida, called Common Brite with Brite. And I offer, you can come to the center, or I do mobile visits. I go on site to people's locations, and I offer, I have clients worldwide because I offer things virtually as well.
Cool.
Because energy knows no space, no time, no distance, and hypnosis can be done anywhere.
Yeah, so true. Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's calm, CALM and AND BRITE, calmandbrite.com.
Excellent. We'll put that on there for you.
Thank you so much. And social media, the same thing. On Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those.
Well, you'll get a couple friend requests later.
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. I look forward to it. I love friends.
All right. Thanks again. You have a great day.
Awesome, Janet. Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah. And I look forward to meeting you guys sometime in the near future.
Cool.
Likewise. You take care.
Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day.
So if you just listen to this podcast and you appreciate the content and the work that we're doing, we would love your support. Look in the comment section of this episode. Subscribe, rate us, comment. This gets our podcast in front of other listeners. And if you noticed, we don't have advertisers. For the cost of a cup of coffee, you can help keep it this way. Become a supporter right now. We'd appreciate it. I'm Jim the Yogi.
I'm Rick the BeachMan.